I'm doing some mastering for a metal band called Crucifix, mastering a cover song of Black Velvet, and I thought I'd just make a video showing you my chain and how each element changes the sound and improves the sound and makes it a bit more of a mastered sound. Let's dive straight in, shall we? So this is the song itself. This is the mix. I'm just going to play it for you now. So it's got a good sound to it. All the elements are there. Everything that's up front should be up front, and all the rest of it. It's got a really nice drum sound to it. Yeah. Nice. Like it. Actually, I'm just going to run through this while it's playing so that you guys can get an idea of how it sounds as we go through it. So the first plugin I've got is this from Slate. I've got a trimmer in case I need to trim anything back. So let's just get my meters up for you. We've got... there we go. I always set my meters to K14 for mastering. Let's have the loudness there. So that running through that is at -12. So I've got headroom. It's fine. My target is -9 overall. So we're hitting 12, 13. So I've got like 4 dB of headroom, which is fine for me. So I don't need to trim it back. Okay, so that's the trimmer, and we're going into a virtual channel now. I like SSL stuff because I've worked. So I came up using SSLs. So I've set this to the Brit N, which should be the SSL emulator. But now normally when you get these up, the drive is pushed up for some reason. I don't know why. So I always notch it down because I just don't want that drive there. Okay. So going from that, I will go into an SSL transformer. This is the Fusion Transformer. Let's just turn it on so you can hear it. So straight away I could hear that's brought the cymbals out a bit more, and it's brought the snare out a bit more. So it's going on a little hop, so I've notched it down. But yeah, it's great. Sounds awesome. So from there, I'll go into a PuigTec EQ. This is the MEq-5, I believe. Yeah, MEq-5. And I just wait for it to kick back in for a turn. There we go. So straight off, I'm boosting at the 200 mark, just to, you can hear that in the kick in particular. But I'm dipping at 4K, and I know when I heard like a hum, like almost like a tape hum, like a tape hum at 4K. So I've turned that down by 2 dB just to kind of get rid of that. Also 1.5 dB. And I've not done anything at the higher end, so it goes up from 1,500 hertz upwards. I've not done any more to that. So from there, I'll go into one of 2 compressors. I'll either go into this compressor here, which is the 2500 from API, or I'll go into the SSL G-Bus compressor. Now, the G-Bus compressor from SSL is really quite harsh, but it's great for metal tracks. It's great, especially for like bass guitars. But for this track, even though it's a metal track, it's still kind of got that vintage feel to it. So something a bit more subtle. If I wanted to go even more subtle than that, I probably would have used the 650 from Fairchild, something like that. But to give you an idea, so again, that's really drawing that kick out in particular. I've got a very short ratio of 1.5, midway attack, and a nice long release there for that one. So going from there, I'll go into another PuigTec EQ. This one is the Eqp-1A, so it's more about the bottom end and top end. Again, wow, you can really hear that bomb with that. So I've boosted at 60 hertz. I've got quite a wide bandwidth there, and then we're going into I'm boosting and attenuating at 12k, and that's what's great about this this EQ, is that you can boost and attenuate at the same time, and then you use your selector to kind of differentiate between the two. And then I've chose the 60 hertz for the mains, just to it draws that out a little bit more. So going from there, I then go into this TG mastering chain from Abbey Road Studios, and what I use this mainly for is mid-side work. So then this EQ here, which they call tone, but it's an EQ. If we turn this on, you can hear it. So straight away it's drawn out those toms in particular. It's generally just brings a lot of warmth to it. So the way to really think about mid and side is to just concentrate on the mids. And the great thing about this is that you can... So that's the sides, and that's the mid, and then obviously you've got your stereo overall. I'm doing a little bit of spreading on there as well. I'm also going into the filter there. If I turn that on again, now that's put some more presence on it, and again it's put that kick is really starting to come through now. So I think I'm probably going to use this limiter, I would imagine, just to kind of tame that kick a bit more. Yeah, very, very subtly, but yeah, it's there. I mean, you can just see it there. It's just reining that kick in a little bit, which is good. So from that Abbey Road mastering chain, I go into this Abbey Road EQ. It's a universal tone control. It's the RS56, and again, really subtle, but it's got a really nice warms the mids and the upper mids and into the highs in particular. So I'm using that around the 10k as a shelf and bringing that up. I've got a little dip at 500 hertz just to kind of bring some of the boxiness out, the drums out of it. And I'm just doing a little bump on the 256 area just to kind of really bring that snare out a bit more by the sounds of it. So that's cool. So from there, going into a multi-band compressor. Now, the thing with metal music in particular is the low end is really hard to control, because you've got a lot of down-tuned guitars and everything is really much in that low end. Okay, so we use this to really kind of tame that low end. So all I'm doing is I'm only using these two bands. I'm not using these. So that's that really deep sub. You can just about hear it on these on these headphones, but on the monitor speakers here in the studio, you could really hear it. You probably hear this one. Hear that rumble. So that's just literally just keeping that in check. So that's what that's doing. And then I'm going into this EQ, which looks a lot, but it's not, okay? It's actually a really subtle stereo enhancement. I'll turn it on. I'll just give it a listen and turn it on. Do you hear that? That kick really came in then. But what I'm doing is, so if you see kind of this part here, that's a left side band, and this is a right side band. So I've got one on the high end here, and two more on the low end here, and that just brings up that stereo spread more. Also, I've got a mid band here. That's just to capture brings more of the vocals out, which obviously you want. And then I've got this mid one here just to kind of push the snare in particular a bit more. I don't need any more kick. It's got quite a lot of kick in it already. So that goes into there. And so that sound quality that we're going for, we move on into imaging. So stereo imaging or sound field. I've got this stereo imager. It's the Fusion stereo imager from SSL. Again, it's just, what it's done is it's just peaked those guitars. It's just come up and, hello, I'm a guitar. But it's also drawn out that kick a bit more because it's made a bit of room for those guitars. So it's made a bit of, where those guitars have moved, it's made a bit of room for that kick. It's just made that, especially that crack part, the kind of the thump part of the kick, it's really brought that out. So that's great. So that, again, is really subtle though. I'm not doing too much. Everything is below 2 decibels. Any more than that, you really start to think, oh, what's going on here? So now I've got the image where I want it. What I'm looking to do is get the loudness right. So, like I say, K14 metering. I use one of 2 limiters. Well, I use 2 limiters, but on my first limiter, I'll use one of 2. I do use the X limit from SSL or the FabFilter Pro L2, which I actually prefer most. I think I use the FabFilter way more than the X limit from SSL. Probably because I've had it longer and my ears are more accustomed to it, I suppose. But what we need to do is go find the loudest part of the song, which is going to be the chorus, okay? Now, we're already hitting, let's reset that. So in there, we're kind of hitting short term. Let's come out from there a little bit, right? So we're kind of still hitting around 12, minus 12 LUFS, okay? So, but what we're targeting is 9, okay? So if I turn this one on, again, this is set to K14. I'm not sure if you can see it there, but that's what this metering is here. You can tell because it's very similar to this one, okay? So straight off, even with that one, short term, I'm hitting minus 9, but I'm still a little bit off here. So it's barely hitting minus 9. So once this has a limiter on it itself, see true peak limiter there. So if I bang that on, that should give me another decibel. And that's literally, all it needed was another 2 decibels, okay? Once I've got into that section, once I've got into that stage of mastering, of bringing it up, I'm only looking to add a few dB, like 5 dB, maybe 6 dB top whack. If I can be hitting kind of 2 or 3, great. You know, that means that I'm not compressing so hard that there's no dynamic range anymore, that I'm losing that human element to it. I don't want to lose the human element to it, especially now that AI is becoming more and more prominent. The only way that my clients human being musicians are going to stand out against that is to be human in their sound. Okay, so there's not a huge amount of compression. Everything is worked up loudness wise in a very human way, okay, through EQing and everything else. So that's great. I think this is a great master and it sounds awesome. Okay. But there is another element to this. As a mastering engineer, we have to think along the lines of, does this master work for every device that people are listening on? Now, lots of people are listening to their music on their phones or on laptops or small earbuds, and the speakers are really small. So, and it's also important because what we do at Greenwave Productions is we give our clients snippets for their social media content. So we'll give them like a chorus, we'll cut that out for them, and we'll give them that as like a 30-second piece of audio that they can put onto their content to back up their content, so that whatever promotion work they're doing, they're using their own music within those videos and stills or whatever piece of content they're making. They're using their own music, and we do those snippets for them. But anything on social media is going to be probably viewed through a phone. So the song has to sound good through a phone. So what we've got is at the tail end, at the very end of my chain, I have this EQ. It's a FabFilter EQ. And this line, this orange line here, this is the frequency response on average of most phones, most small earbuds and laptops that have sort of these tiny speakers. Now, you probably hear the difference because it'll be quite stark, okay? But I hear it through that, and if it sounds good through there as well, then I'm like, you know what? It's going to sound good on those devices. I'll also run this off. I'll go and listen to it in the car and things like that just to make sure everything's running well. But this is really quite important now in these days. And, you know, if you're hearing it, obviously, I prefer people to be hearing it like this with the full range of what my work has been. But it's not really a reality of it. And when you're hearing it back to back like this, it's going to be quite stark. But if you just heard it in isolation on a phone, you're probably going to be like, oh, it's just a pretty good mix or a pretty good master. So, this is another thing that engineers and especially certainly mastering engineers have to think about. So, and obviously there's going to be a lot because obviously we're losing this low end here and this bit here and the rest of it. So, you're losing all of this stuff. So, there's going to be a difference, but that's the nature, that's the physics of sound at the end of the day. So, but if you can get it sounding good within this frequency range, then you're onto a winner, and it's just something to just be aware of at the end of the day. So, and that's what we do. It's what we do for our clients is we make sure that everything is heard, has really good sound quality on every device that could be listened to. So, I think that's it. I think that's it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. It really helps this channel out. And hopefully I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one.